happy November. It's All Saints Day. A day just for people like me. Thanks. So let's be out with it. I seem to have temporarily lost my recording space. Hopefully in the next few months I'll be able to figure something out. But for now we're back in the office, sitting hopefully where you can judge part of my book collection. So if you want me back in some kind of recording space, you either have to wait a bit or really up your Patreon donations. Because I just gotta need to buy a house. Anyway, let's talk about the news and my cat coming into the shot. Say hi, kitty. No? Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about the news. And by that I mean Facebook. Or should we talk about billionaires? Or vaccines? Or Dave Chappelle? Or the Aurora? Did you watch Squid Game? I did. It was excellent. The John Deere strike, did you hear about that? That started and finished while we were gone? It's over. About the G20 in Rome? Did you hear Alec Baldwin killed somebody? On accident? Or was it neglect? Who knows? You don't know because I haven't talked to you about it yet. So basically there's a lot. Did the so-called moderate Dems realize they're breaking democracy? You don't need me to tell you that one. You know it's not true. So obviously our top news story is Arizona Senator Kirsten Synema. Senator Synema wore a denim vest on the Senate floor on Tuesday. This honored her previously unknown Canadian ancestry. Funny, she doesn't look Canadian. Synema has been in the news, along with West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. They have been seen as the last two senators holding up the massive 1.7 trillion human infrastructure bill. It's probably going to change. Part of the concern is about massive outlay of money to combat climate change, which makes sense when you realize Joe Manchin founded some coal companies, and Synema already represents a state that's 95% desert and 5% the city of Chandler. So, very useless mostly. But there's also talk about a billionaire tax, which these two senators oppose for some reason. An interesting rebranding lesson came from Mitt Romney on trickle-down economics.
But number two, you're going to tax people not when they sell something, but just when they own it and the value goes up. And what that means is that people are, these multi-billionaires, are going to look and say, I don't want to invest in the stock market because as that goes up, I'm going to get taxed. So maybe I will instead invest in a ranch or in paintings or things that don't build jobs and create a stronger economy.
So let's lighten up and talk about Nazis. Kyle Rittenhouse's trial began this week, and the judge ruled that the two people Kyle shot could not be called victims, but they could be called dirty commies. Still no word from prosecutors if the victims will be allowed to be referenced as human instead of Antifa scum. A lot of people are wondering if the kid will get away with it. Of course it is. Of course he will. Of course, it's Wisconsin. You can't even claim that people named Kyle aren't to be trusted. A full 3/5 of Wisconsin residents are named Kyle. That's the law. Speaking of the law, vaccine mandates. The hip new way to make sure the kids don't get polio. On Tuesday, federal judges allowed Southwest Airlines' COVID-19 vaccine mandate to go into effect. It's a win-win because people will get vaccinated and, statistically, have a far lower chance of dying. That is a win-win. Speaking of vaccine hesitancy, Facebook, the place where your Uncle Ed starts and ends his research. Facebook announced this week that the company will be changing its name to Meta. Like Google and the alphabet before, this is an attempt to allow Meta to appear like they're diversifying. Silly Zuckerberg. Shortly after the announcement, Facebook announced plans to purchase Meta. I'm sure the accountants will work it out. Also in Facebook news, some information came out this week on social media company's feed, which rank comments and reacts along a point system, with like being a 1 and angry being a 5 for engagement metrics. So make sure that you hate or / be angry at this particular video. The number of points for swearing at a friend of a friend's comment in your comment is still unknown. Also in disinformation news, Colin Powell, former Secretary of State, died on October 18th due to complications from coronavirus at the age of 84. The general was vaccinated, but still died due to COVID, leading some to ask what else was wrong with the man. Still no word from the critics if they remember the dude was 84, battling early-stage Parkinson's and multiple myeloma, however you say it. Powell, who lived a distinguished military life, stained his reputation in 2003 when he made the case for invading Iraq, claiming there were weapons of mass destruction in the country. I remember this. And while none were found, some say that there's a vast reservoir of hot magma waiting to be used a mere 4,000 miles underneath the country of Iraq. It's now time for the high-speed round where points don't matter because I'm not taking points on this. So a hiker got lost in Colorado's Mount Elbert. Mount Elbert? When rescuers called his phone, he didn't answer because he didn't recognize the number. And when he finally found his way home, he said that if the cost was talking to people on the phone, he'd rather die of exposure. A woman in Virginia was sentenced to 12 years in prison for running a coupon counterfeiting ring, costing retail stores $31.8 million. That's a lot of buy one, get one pizzas. New evidence from trees has come to light showing Vikings inhabited North America precisely 1,000 years ago, in the year 1021, which is stupid. Why did they do that? Hadn't they heard of Christopher Columbus? Scientists have attached a genetically altered pig's kidney to a human patient, eventually finding out that the organ worked. Normally, everything's going well, except for the patient has now lost his taste for bacon. Unfortunately for me, now I have to find buyers for all these human kidneys I've been collecting. Speaking of things that I used to have, Fisher-Price released a new version of its Chatter telephone that can be paired with a smartphone through Bluetooth. It has the original wobbly eyes, rotary dialer, and a 3-inch long cord. The White House unveiled a plan to give 28 million U.S. children COVID vaccinations. The first step is crafting the permission slips for Chips and Salsa Day, while not specifying what kind of chips their kids are going to be getting. Christchurch, New Zealand has ended its contract with a wizard to promote the city for the past 2 decades. That's fair. I was also really disappointed in The Hobbit. Also, what good was it? It's not like the wizarding helped prevent COVID down there. Although it did do much better than everybody else. Also in COVID prevention news, a recent study found that cheap and generic antidepressant fluvoxamine has significantly reduced the risk of severe disease and hospitalization. Finally, depression works out for me. Actor and former White House official Kal Penn has come out of the closet. He's engaged to his partner and they've been together for 11 years, which still doesn't explain why his character cut or killed himself in-house. Why? Why, Penn? Why? And finally, Dave Chappelle. You can read other more astute, more nuanced, and stronger opinions elsewhere, but here's mine. It just wasn't that good. Honestly, it told me a lot more about his fans than it did about him. Fandoms ruin everything. It was a bad special, not funny, not because it's offensive things in there. It's just hackish. My jokes are better, and I'm barely the funniest person in this house. It kind of also helps that my family is out for the night. So that's the news agenda for November 1st, 2021. As I had hoped, I finished the edits of The Smallest of Problems. As I said, I finished that last week. So please tickle the like button and smash the subscribe button with a hammer the size of a hammerhead shark. That's a thing. Please follow me on Twitter if you don't. And please consider the Patreon, which funnels all the money directly to my other comedy project, queercoded.com. I mean to make one just for that site eventually, but for now, I'm just lazy. So please remember, thank you for watching. And I love you.
I gotta defend his fans though. A lot of his fans, people say they're homophobic. I don't think they're homophobic with how they're lining up to suck his dick. I just don't think so.